In the 1880s, the city of Hillsborough built its first sewer system. It ran right down First Avenue and dumped into a floodplain of the Tualatin River known as Jackson Bottom. But the destruction of Jackson Bottom had begun long before that. In the 1850s, the floodplain was ditched, drained, and filled to permit intensive agriculture and livestock grazing. All native plants were cleared, and the invasive reed canary grass was introduced. Jackson Bottom was used as a dump site for garbage, massive amounts of cannery waste, and of course, raw sewage. It then became a sewer farm and a wastewater treatment site. After a century of destructive use, the floodplain had become an exhausted, barren field with no value to native wildlife or people. This once extensive seasonal wetland, originally called Mirror Lake, was now dominated by invasive species, including reed canary grass, nutria, and common carp. In 2008, restoration biologist Laura Trunk decided to restore this critical wetland habitat and bring back the wildlife that once lived there. To do this, she first had to recreate the floodplain's original hydrologic characteristics. Over the next 10 years, she built multiple wetlands with various shapes, sizes, and depths. These wetlands were placed across the floodplain, creating diverse habitat types and hydroperiods. Once the water was returned to the landscape, Laura began a massive program of habitat restoration to bring back the native plants and animals. This ongoing program has required an incredible amount of work, grant funding, and the establishment of many interagency partnerships. After nearly 2 decades of monitoring and adjusting water levels, tracking wildlife populations, and removing invasive species, the preserve began to see the return of floodplain habitats and wildlife communities that hadn't existed there for over a century. Today, Jackson Bottom once again has thriving emergent marsh wetlands, riparian forests, and diverse native plant communities that are teeming with wildlife. The wildlife response to this program has been tremendous. In the first 5 years, the native amphibian population increased by over 3,000%. Within 8 years, Jackson Bottom supported the largest nesting colony of blue herons and great egrets in western Oregon. Invasive species have been dramatically reduced, and native wildlife are returning to their former homes. Jackson Bottom Wetlands Preserve is an extremely unique place, a large forested wetland right next to a major city center. The preserve provides countless benefits to the Hillsborough community, including nearly 5 miles of trails, nature education, and quality recreation opportunities, including unprecedented wildlife viewing and photography, as well as stewardship opportunities. But Jackson Bottom is much more than a local success story. By carefully monitoring and documenting the processes we developed, Jackson Bottom has become a natural proving ground for new restoration methods. These techniques will be used across the region to help heal degraded landscapes, ensuring that Jackson Bottom's legacy reaches far beyond the Tualatin Basin.